Stone Co. Shares held, 14,166,748. Holding value, $749,279,000. Percent of portfolio, 0.33%. Brazilian financial technology firm Stone Co., currently at $65.52, provides software and hardware for companies to facilitate credit and debit card payments. And it's one of the growthiest Warren Buffett stocks without a doubt. Its fiscal 2019 client base grew 84% year-over-year. Revenues jumped 63.1% to 2.58 billion Brazilian reals, $440 million, while adjusted net income rocketed 150% higher to 804.2 million reals, $137 million. More recently, in Q3 2020, the company reported that total payment volumes more than doubled, while adjusted profits jumped 43%. While not necessarily in the Buffett stock's blueprint, Stone Co. nonetheless fits well with Berkshire Hathaway's general bullishness on companies that facilitate and process payments. Payments are a huge deal worldwide, Warren Buffett said at Berkshire's 2018 shareholder meeting. Digital payments look even better in the midst of COVID-19, and that has helped shares recover in a big way. Stone Company has more than tripled since the bear market bottom and is up 64% year-to-date. Berkshire entered its position in October 2018 as the Brazilian financial technology company went public. Given the relatively small position in Stone Company, and the fact that it's a fintech company, you won't be surprised to learn the position was initiated by Buffett Lieutenant Todd Combs, with the Oracle of Omaha's blessing, no doubt. Berkshire left this position untouched in Q3. Its stake represents 4.6% of the company's shares outstanding, making it Stone Company's sixth largest shareholder. Kroger. Shares held, 24,978,439. Holding value, $847,019,000. Percent of portfolio, 0.37%. Berkshire Hathaway's stake of supermarket titan Kroger, currently at $32.30, entered in Q4 2019, was a little bit of a head-scratcher at first, but clearly, Warren Buffett has warmed to this position. Investors in general have soured on traditional supermarket chains in recent years, as big box stores like Walmart and Target, not to mention Amazon.com, have encroached on the grocery space. But the position also isn't like many of Berkshire's other more recent positions, which have been much more aggressive in nature. Kroger is an old-school, old-economy value play, especially when compared to the likes of Amazon, Stone Company, Biogen and Snowflake. Nonetheless, in 2019's final quarter, Buffett initiated an 18.9 million share position, then added another 3 million shares, 15%, to give him nearly 22 million shares. And he added to that position during Q3 2020, upping his stake by roughly 13% to almost 25 million shares. It's still no home run swing at just 0.37% of the total Berkshire Hathaway equity portfolio. But Kroger did provide some stability during the early COVID-19 downturn while many other Buffett stocks floundered. Also, don't sleep on Kroger. Believe it or not, it's one of the largest retailers in the world. Kroger has roughly 2,750 retail food stores operating under such banners as Dillon's, Ralph's, Harris Teeter and its namesake brand, as well as 1,575 gas stations and even 170 jewelry stores under banners including Fred Meyer Jewelers and Littman Jewelers. That's a big enough footprint for it to put up a fight against the Amazons and Walmarts of the world. Snowflake, new position. Shares held, 6,125,376. Holding value, $1,537,469,000. Percent of portfolio, 0.67%. Warren Buffett made quite the splash earlier this fall when he finally dove headfirst into the Snowflake, currently at $241.85, initial public offering. The chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, for the record, has never been a fan of IPOs. He's said so, on the record, and has notably turned up his nose at some of the most heavily hyped stock market debuts. But that didn't stop him from being involved when Snowflake, a cloud infrastructure unicorn, hit the public markets with a blockbuster IPO. Snowflake is a cloud data warehousing company that plays in a roughly $55 billion annual market, a market that's expanding. The firm boasts 3,100 customers, 56 of which were each responsible for generating around $1 million in revenues within a 12-month period. Snowflake is generating a lot of hype because it offers a way for companies to run their software on various cloud platforms, be they provided by Amazon.com, Microsoft, MSFT, or Google parent Alphabet, Google, to name just three. MasterCard. Shares held, 4,564,756. Holding value, $1,543,664,000. Percent of portfolio, 0.67%. While Berkshire Hathaway does indeed own MasterCard, currently at $335.45, Warren Buffett has nodded to his portfolio managers Todd Combs and Ted Weschler, and said he wishes he had pulled the trigger on the opportunity earlier. "I could have bought them as well, and looking back, I should have," Buffett said about Visa and MasterCard in 2018, referring to his own investment in American Express. "It's nice to see the Oracle giving credit where credit is due." MasterCard, which boasts 943 million cards in use across the world, is one of several payments processors under the Berkshire umbrella. However, after mostly leaving the stock alone since entering a position during the first quarter of 2011, Buffett sold off 300,000 shares, or 7% of the stake, in Q2 2020. He left the position alone in Q3. Of course, MasterCard has returned some 1,300%, including dividends, since March 31, 2011, several times better than the S&P 500 in that time, so it's hard to begrudge Warren Buffett a little profit-taking. Amazon.com. Shares held, 533,300. Holding value, $1,679,217,000. Percent of portfolio, 0.73%. Amazon.com, currently at $3,131.06, has, up until the past month or so, been one of the most electric blue chips of 2020. And it has been one of the splashiest recent additions to the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio. The holding company disclosed its 483,300 share position after the first quarter of 2019, then added another 54,000 shares the next quarter. Amazon shares are up 65% since the end of Q2 2019, versus just 23% returns for the broader market. Amazon wasn't Buffett's idea, by his own admission. Before Berkshire Hathaway submitted its first quarter regulatory filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, Buffett told CNBC, "One of the fellows in the office that manage money bought some Amazon, so it will show up when that file is submitted." Buffett has long been an admirer of Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, he admitted in an interview, and said he wished he'd bought the stock sooner. "Yeah, I've been a fan, and I've been an idiot for not buying Amazon shares," Buffett told CNBC. Berkshire still is an insignificant shareholder, however, boasting about 0.1% of Amazon shares outstanding. Interestingly, Buffett marginally reduced the position by 4,000 shares in Q1 2020, but has since left the stake alone. Bristol-Myers Squibb, new position. Shares held, 29,971,194. Holding value, $1,806,963,000. Percent of portfolio, 0.79%. Bristol-Myers Squibb, currently at $64.50, was another of Warren Buffett's third-quarter big pharma bets. In this case, Berkshire took on almost 30 million shares worth $1.81 billion. Bristol-Myers Squibb beefed up in a big way a year ago when it acquired pharmaceutical giant Celgene, and that has to be a big part of the attraction to this stock. The deal brought in a pair of blockbuster multiple myeloma treatments, Pomalyst and Revlimid, the latter of which also treats mantle cell lymphoma and myelodysplastic syndromes. That's kind of par for Bristol-Myers' course. A long track record of successful acquisitions has kept the pharma company's pipeline primed with big-name drugs over the years. Among the better-known names today are Coumadin, a blood thinner, and Glucophage, for type 2 diabetes. Merck, new position. Shares held, 22,403,102. Holding value, $1,858,337,000. Percent of portfolio, 0.81%. Warren Buffett also unveiled a new position in Dow component Merck, currently at $80.18, during Q3. Berkshire Hathaway bought 22.4 million shares in the third quarter worth nearly $1.86 billion. Central to Merck's fundamental performance is Keytruda, a blockbuster cancer drug approved for more than 20 indications. Additionally, Merck has a favorable patent setup with no key brands losing marketing exclusivity until 2022. Keytruda is on patent until 2028. As for Merck's dividend, it's reliable and growing. The payout had been rising by a penny per share for years, but now it's starting to heat up. Merck upgraded its payouts by 14.6% in 2019, then followed that up with a nearly 11% improvement for 2020. AbbVie, new position, shares held, 21,264,316. Holding value, $1,862,541,000. Percent of portfolio, 0.81%. Berkshire Hathaway's largest new healthcare bet in Q3 was a $21.3 million, $1.86 billion stake in biopharmaceutical firm Hathaway, currently at $98.36. Hathaway is best known for blockbuster drugs such as Humira and Imbruvica, but analysts are also optimistic about the potential for Rinvoq and Skyrizi, which treat rheumatoid arthritis and plaque psoriasis. And let's not forget that Hathaway is a big hit with long-term dividend investors. The pharmaceutical company is a dividend aristocrat, by virtue of having raised its dividend for 48 consecutive years. Even better, its current dividend yield is one of the highest in the S&P 500, and the company has raised the payout at a 20% rate over the past 5 years. Its current yield of 5.3% is several times better than the S&P 500 average of about 1.6%. Hathaway is a dirt cheap value stock, trading at just 8.4 times expected earnings.